Okay, great. So there's a few other reasons. We've talked about the physical and the physiological reasons for difficulty regulating sleep, but there's a few other ones that I want to go over with you. One of them is negative energy. So sometimes there's stuff kicking around your house or you that might be interfering with your sleep, either your ability to fall asleep or the quality of sleep that you get. So this is a quick review of what we did in the Clearing Negative Energies class. This is the very, very brief one of this, but it goes like this. I'm going to say it the way that I usually say it, not the way it's written in the book. Search, remove, clear all entities. You should only have to do this once if you feel like you need to. You're welcome to do it 3 times. I'm doing it 3 times because I'm doing it for 3 people. So search, remove, clear all anomalies. Search, remove, clear all demons. And search, remove, clear all other negative energies. Okay.
We can say that people who tend to have lots of nightmares, that tends to be from negative energies.
There's a number that you can choose the paradigm. So negative energies can be it. It can be heart heat from Chinese medicine. We would say that would be most likely heart heat. From functional medicine, we could say that could be liver imbalance or blood sugar imbalance. So pick your window. But I like all of the windows, so that's why they're all in here, is because it can be any of those different things.
What if you don't dream at all? Well, or you don't remember what you dream?
For a lot of people, that might mean that they're sleeping shorter periods of time, and that they might go into deep sleep quickly, but that they come out of it and go straight into waking up. So it can be, it can happen that way. There's nothing wrong if you don't dream. It's just that if you are sleeping long enough, then periodically you should remember some dreams at some point, because that's evidence that your brain is getting fully into the REM state.
So if sometimes you dream, like small percentage become true next day, or somebody say something, like I dreamed that I'm supposed to see.
Prescient? That what you dream happens the next day?
Yeah, and sometimes it's just regular dream. How you tell different that there's not possible, right? Okay.
So I'm going to tell a story that is how I deal with this, right? So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have something in my head, I will energy measure, is this something I need to pay attention to? Is this something I need to write down? And if it's yes, then it's like, okay, I need to get up and write down. And if it's no, okay, then I'm going back to sleep. And I don't have to worry about it. So it isn't, like if I have a scary dream, I might ask, is there something I need to know about this? And if it's yes, okay, let me look more deeply into it. And if it's no, it's like, okay, then I just had something was glitched in my system and I just need to clear, the kidney organ, for example. But I just ask. I think before you came in, I was saying that a few nights ago I had a dream that was, it was one of these rare cases where in the dream that I was presented with the root cause of all disease. This is how all disease happens. And you know how usually when you wake up in the middle of the night, it's like profound insight and it's like, whoa, and then you don't write it down. And so, it's like, it's so profound, you're like, I'm never gonna forget that. I'm never in my whole life gonna forget that. But then you don't write it down, so you don't remember, right? Well, I actually wrote it down. But when I went back, when I was trying to remember it before I went back and looked at my notes, I didn't remember what it was. I was like, what was that? How did it? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I wrote it down. So, but I checked in to see, is this actually something that I need to pay attention to, or is this just a weird thing that happened in my dream? That's That's how I do it, is I muscle test, and if I get a yes, then I follow through on it, and if I get a no, then I like go back to sleep. So some people, they get information and it's like a little scary or frightening to them, or they're uncomfortable with it, and you can, while you can make that information go away, then I would encourage you maybe instead to look for the opportunities in there. Look for the ways, like if you get some information, let's say you get some a hint that maybe something not so good is going to happen to a loved one, then like maybe that's a good time to just be really attentive to that person. I mean, obviously you don't need to call them up and say, I had this terrible dream that you were going to die today. You can if you want to, but you just might want to call that person and say, hi, how's it going? I've been thinking about you lately. What's going on in your world? And I found oftentimes that there is something going on in their world, and it's like, oh.
And if they don't answer, don't worry, it may not be that they've
Right.
been already.
But I do find that information is very valuable, and I personally like that information, and like I want to know what's going on. But I know a good friend of mine many years ago, when that started happening to her, she was like, ah! stop, and it did stop. But I'd rather know stuff. I think it's cool.
And in some Asian country, they have a way of interpret your dream. Like if your teeth fall out, that means your relative or passed away or things like that. And it's kind of sometimes true. I don't know how it's all working, but
Is
have
it-
that interpretation.
So I studied dream interpretations from a few different angles. Is it your experience also that it has to do with the language of the person? Like, for example, if you have a dream about tooth falling out, then that might be a relative pass away. If I have a dream about tooth falling out and that means loss of money to me, then like it's a different, like it seems like the symbolism, it seems like our languages matter. I had, this is just totally an aside, I was at a meditative retreat, and I was doing these deep meditations, and the image that I had appear to me was this little Chinese guy in a black and white film with like the straw hat and everything. Apparently that was my language. And he was like directly interacting with me and telling me, like what I needed to do and everything. And I'm like, seriously, my language is little Chinese guy? like, yep. All right, here we go. Anyway, it was very funny. His directions to me were, that particular year I was working on courage at this event, and the directions that I got from him was that I was supposed to keep my eyes closed and Tai Chi step across this like field area. And you wouldn't think that that would be that big of a deal. I have eyes closed, Tai Chi stepped many, many, many times in my life, but wow, it was really hard. It was a very, it was unfamiliar territory, and it was like on a slope, and there were, it was outside, so you never knew what you were gonna step on, and there were like buildings and shrubbery, and because of all, and also I wasn't gonna be walking in directly a straight line. Like I knew I was gonna be off a little bit, kind of. I thought I was gonna be off a little bit, so it was hilarious. So one of my courage exercises was the little Chinese guy telling me to Tai Chi step across. And I totally, I'm like, okay, look where I'm gonna go, close my eyes, aim for it, and I landed up in a bush outside of a cottage. Which was hilarious. But it helped me practice courage. Like my job was to not open my eyes no matter what, even if I really wanted to, and I really wanted to. It's kind of funny, the things that we don't associate with, like I didn't think it took a lot of courage to walk across the courtyard, but apparently the way to do it, the way I had to do it did. Anyway, okay, so we've cleared negative energies. I wanted to, I added in a few different things that some of the people who have been, I'm usually pretty blessed with great sleep, so I checked in with some of our people who use these techniques and asked them what their favorite techniques were, and then I added them in the back here. So on the last page, on page 20, you'll see under the section for quality of sleep, there's a few different ones here. This is me enjoying completely deep, restful, restorative sleep. So we'll do that one with Shin technique. And we'll say tonight rather than on the drive home.
I wanted a nap.
Good. And then for when you have trouble waking up, this is me enjoying continuous uninterrupted sleep. I'm actually getting that we need to do that one again. Okay. This is me waking, feeling refreshed and revitalized and thinking clearly. Okay. And then there's another one that I didn't put in here also, but there's one more that is, as we go through our days, we interact with other people, and lovely people, delightful people, but when we are completed with that time together, then our energies should come back to ourselves and their energies should move along with them so that they have all of their energy to do everything they need to do in a day, and we have all of our energy to do everything we need to do in a day. So there's one more, and it goes, we'll do this with Shin technique. This is me completely and 100% in my own energy. And then the next one, and this is especially important, of course, for practitioners, for anybody that's in healthcare field, because you're connecting with people on an energetic level. And then the next one that we're going to do is, this is me sending everybody else's energy back to them. And this is not because we're mad at anybody, this is simply that we're just putting the energy back where it belongs, just like putting your toys away at the end of the day. And then there's also a few I've added in here for things to do first thing in the morning upon waking. And it goes like this. This is me having a completely fantastic, amazing, awesome day today. The next one is, this is everything going my way today. And the last one is, this is me seeing lots of things for which to be grateful. Okay, good. By the way, that question earlier about how to change the habits, if you've had a long-term chronic sleep issue, then you need to do this entire cheat sheet every day for 14 days. Now, Ray has put together a cocktail, which means that this can be done within SRC by running this cocktail. Do that and do the list on your own. So you do both, because again, you want to stack the odds in your favor. You want to do everything. Like, what's the worst that can happen if you overdo your sleep energy work? It'll take you an extra 5 minutes and you'll sleep great. There's no danger there. Okay, so coming back to page 17, let's talk about some sleep hygiene essentials. What is number 1? Everybody read it together, please.
Exercise.
Exercise. Yes, this is the number 1 circadian regulator. 30 minutes of sweating goes a long way. And this is true no matter what paradigm you're looking at, whether you're looking at it from Oriental medicine, from functional medicine, from allopathic medicine. Every single discipline says exercise helps a lot with sleep. Exercise is number 1 for sleep. Now, you may have something going on that's very difficult to exercise, or that you're not exercising for a particular time. This can happen due to injury. It can happen due to routine. And when that is the case, then make sure to make it a priority to get back to where you can as quickly as possible. And in the meantime, make sure you do, it's especially important to do all of these sleep regulators during that time. Capiche?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sleeping pills wreck your rhythm, but there's a much worse problem. People have been reported sleep talking, sleep driving, and in some horrible cases, sleep killing sprees. So drugs like Ambien are not a good solution. And the last time that I taught this class, I had one lady who said, okay, but really, I mean, is it really that big of a deal if I munch a bit of Ambien once or twice a week? I also happened to have an MD in that class who stood up and said, yes, it is. I regularly see this in clinic, and it is dangerous, and it is increasingly dangerous over time. So these are not good crutches. Number 3, no caffeine after lunch. So if you're on a sleep deprivation situation, then, in the ideal state, sure, don't drink caffeine, but you might be in the you have to stay awake while driving to work situation, or while driving, and so please don't kill yourself. If you need to have some coffee while you drive to work, then that is less dangerous than driving off the road. But as best you can, try to avoid caffeine after lunch, and particularly like 10 o'clock at night.
Aren't there energy-inducing herbs?
There are energy-inducing herbs, and there are restorative energy-inducing herbs. So one very excellent one is goji berries, also known as wolfberry, which has excellent restorative effect. B vitamins are also highly restorative. Another one of my favorites is rhodiola, schisandra, shiyangshan, American ginseng. There's actually a lot of them. There's a whole lot of them.
Be better than a no-dose habit.
Better than no-dose habit. A lot of people in recent years, ashwagandha, otherwise known as withania, has also gotten very important. Different adaptogens work better for different people. We are all unique individuals, so you are welcome to play with that. Just be careful, right? This is not a situation. Everything that I do in my world, I always muscle test for. I always energy measure whether or not that's the right supplement for me, and then how much of it to take. And sometimes when I'm giving these talks, I forget that other people don't do that. So do be careful. I just recently had a conversation with a gentleman who had gotten accidentally addicted to an ingredient in an energy supplement that had truly wrecked his world when he tried to stop taking it. And it was it just enhanced mental clarity. I mean, I use herbs that do this all the time. Enhanced mental clarity gave him more energy. But when he tried to stop taking it, he was not able to. He was not able to sleep, and he was very jittery, and he actually couldn't get off of it. So we'll be assisting him with that. But that's a herb that has become very popular in recent years. It's called kratom. You guys heard of this? Yeah. Okay.
It's illegal in Thailand. Kratom.
And yet in America, I accidentally, I walked into a tea shop, and the only tea that they had was kratom, and I'd never had it before, and I'm like, well, look, I energy measured, yes, it's okay to have some, and I sat there and I drank I wanted to work on my book, this was a little while back, and I sat there and I drank this tea of kratom, and at first it was like, perfect, this is kind of like linjur, which is reishi mushroom or gandoderma. I was like, okay, great, got increased focus and mental clarity and good, and that was like the first few sips, and then by the time I got to the end of the tea, I was like, okay, I am way more relaxed than I bargained for, and all I did was order a cup of tea. I mean, you should have labels on these things, right? And so here is your note. Anytime you walk into a place and they say, we have several different strains of it, then that's probably an indicator that there's some psychedelic properties to it. So you may want to choose wisely. I'm glad that I had the experience so that I know what that verb feels like, and also have not ordered Kratom since. Okay, another one, you all know this one, avoid blue light. Where does blue light come from? Computer screens and television screens and cell phones. Yep. So if you have a tendency to be on your phone, if you're trying to change a sleep pattern, then you want to take a break from your electronics. You might even make 6 o'clock your cutoff time. It's like, okay, I'm done with the electronics after 6 o'clock. You're serious about making the sleep change. And then number 5 there, you see the number 1 key is consistency. So make it a habit. Wake up at the same time every single day and go to sleep at the same time every single night. Even if you're not tired. Even if you feel, because here's what happens. If you walk around in a sleep deprivation state all the time, I'm used to 6 hours sleep, I can do 6 hours sleep, I'm kind of tired and bug-eyed, but I can make it through the day. And then you have a night that you've had 8 hours sleep. How do you feel during the day? I feel fantastic. This is fantastic. So what do I think when it comes to bedtime? I feel so great, I can keep going. That is not the game. The game is reset the clock. We all get the same number of hours in a day, but if you're constantly setting yourself up for sleep deprivation, you're actually losing hours. What you're doing instead is you're setting yourself up for the quality of your hours being less and less. It's kind of like if you pictured a really clear picture, and then over time it just gets like fuzzier and fuzzier. That's what happens when we're doing sleep deprivation over time, right? We're just letting our pictures get fuzzy. So it's a little weird, but you want to go to sleep when you still have energy. You shouldn't be absolutely, totally, completely, utterly exhausted when you go to bed. You should be ready for bed. Thank you. Okay. Okay, but what about the weekends?
What?
What about the weekends? I mean, I go to bed every night on time. But like, what about the weekends? I don't have to do that on weekends, do I?
I would say no, but I would be wrong.
You're right, you would be. Yes, the weekends too. The weekends matter. The better schedule that you keep, the more consistent schedule that you keep, the better you're going to feel and the more your body's going to understand. Again, your body is just doing what you told it to do. So if you say to your body, we get up at 6 o'clock, we go to bed at 10 o'clock. We get up at 5 o'clock, we go to bed at 9 o'clock. Your body's going to go, okay. And it's going to learn that it starts getting sleepy at 8 o'clock at night, and it starts getting ready to wind down because it has permission to wind down. And then at 9 o'clock at night, it's going to be ready for bedtime. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wake up. Whatever time you train it for, I've trained it to be 8 to 4, I've trained it to be 9 to 5, I've trained it to be 10 to 6. But you will get your 8 hours sleep much more of the time if you are on a regular schedule. And yes, it matters that it's the week. It doesn't matter that it's the weekend, it's the same time. So on 4th of July, I happened to wind up on 4th of July where I had worked very hard, and the night before I'd been sleep deprived for a little while, and I'd finally gotten some sleep. And so what did I do on 4th of July night?
You went to bed.
Cheater. She's my roommate. Yeah, I put myself to bed and I listened to the fireworks outside because I knew what my body most needed at that moment was sleep. And I knew that was the healthiest thing for my body. Now, if I had had a good amount of sleep going into the 4th of July, then I might have made a different decision and say, okay, this is my night that I can stay up. But I had already stayed up. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sleep the right amount. For most people, this is 8 hours, 7.5, 8 hours. Allow that for yourself and see when you naturally wake up. Ideally, you want your body to be well rested enough that you wake up without an alarm clock. Put your phone and your computer in another room when you sleep. They emit EMFs and light and sometimes sound. Our skin, we talked about this, our skin has UV receptors, and it's possible it can sense other light too, and there's a article about that. Also, don't work right up till bedtime. The brain gets charged up and it's hard to wind down. When I waited tables until late at night, all of the wait staff would go out to dinner after because we were on different schedule from the rest of the world and we needed to wind down. So, if you get off work at 11 o'clock at night, then, like I said, you're probably not going to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then finally, drink water. It regulates brain chemistry, inflammation, and circulation. It does a body good. It will also keep you much more awake during the day. I had one young lady one time who was constantly drinking Monster energy drinks because she was constantly tired because her sleep was disturbed. And she came in and I had talked to her about different things for a while. Sometimes people hear what they need to hear when they're ready to hear it. You can say something, another way to say that is sometimes you can say something 10 times to a person and then they come in one day and say, I discovered this. Oh, fantastic. So she came in and she said, so I spent a day drinking water instead of energy drinks. And I said, oh, how did that go? And she said, I didn't have any headaches and I wasn't sleepy during the day. And I said, how'd that feel? She said, it felt really good. I'm like, you're gonna keep doing that? She's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep doing that. It's a lot less expensive also. Fantastic. Okay, any questions about any of that?
No.
Do you all have a plan? Do you have one thing that you think you might change to improve your sleep?
Meditating before bedtime.
Meditating before bedtime is a wonderful thing to do. Wonderful reflective thing to do. Okay, so a little bit about the food. So a little bit of complex carbs at dinner can help produce melatonin, but it can also help dysregulate sugar, so just be aware of that. A cup of bone broth before bedtime aids in tryptophan absorption, which of course is the chemical in turkey that makes us sleepy, so that can be very beneficial. Supplements to try, magnesium glycinate or taurate. Taurate is less likely to cause you to poop like a goose, so you might want to try 500 milligrams of that. Melatonin, so this is my, like, if these things work, great. If not, you can come see me. Melatonin, a lower dose often works best, so try half of a milligram. Taurine, which increases GABA, a neurotransmitter that regulates the rhythm of the brain, try 500 milligrams. And then linger, reishi, inositol, B vitamins, passion flower, chamomile, those are all great herbs, food supplements that are oftentimes found in teas. Foods to stimulate GABA are specifically complex carbs, almonds, halibut, beef liver, walnuts, lentils, brown rice, broccoli, and bananas. I had accidentally taken all of those things out of my diet at one point and found that I just felt really not myself and sideways. I eventually read a book called The Edge Effect, and they had a description of GABA deficiency that said slow domino effect. And then it had all of these symptoms listed behind it. And I'm like, that's me! That's totally me! And what had happened was I had significantly decreased the GABA production in my brain, and constitutionally, I am a high GABA person. So I really felt weird and sideways. I read this book and I started eating some of those things again, and I was like, well, that's much better. Feeling more myself. And then foods that stimulate serotonin, which is the feel-good brain neurotransmitters, are pork, avocado, cottage cheese, duck, eggs, wheat germ, and turkey. So just in closing, what would Winnie the Pooh do? The Tao of Pooh is a modern-day take on the Chinese classics. Pooh had a lot of things figured out that the rest of the gang were still working on. Effortlessness came really easy to him. This is what we're aiming for. This is what we want in our day. We want the easy, the effortlessness, the beautiful, the simple. And a good night's sleep really helps prepare us for that experience. So this is a conversation with Pooh. Just how do you do it, Pooh? Do what? Said Pooh. Become so much of anything, he said. But all of those things of yours get done. They just sort of happen, he said. I have this phrase that I use early in the morning. I say, my house cleaned myself today, because my GABA is so strong in the morning that if I go to make breakfast, it's like things just get organized while I'm standing there. It feels very effortless. It's very simple. If I try to do the same thing when I get home from work, it's like, where am I gonna put this? It's so much harder. It's grueling. So this is the pathway to effortlessness.